Hello, I'm Suzanne Clegg. Welcome back to the reading of my book, There Is Another Way, Energy Medicine for Pets with Cancer. So energy therapy for cancer. I can teach regular muggles how to give simple energy healing sessions that really truly make a difference, spiritually, emotionally, and physically. We're talking less pain, hot tumors cooled down, less medication, better quality and quantity of life. And it's seriously not hard to do. This video is the second of a 4-part series. If you liked it and you're back for more, please like this video. If you haven't seen part 1, go back and watch that and then come back. This video, you learn if this method is a good fit for you and your friend, your pet, your family member with cancer. Then I'll share my vision for the impact this practice can have for your life, which may be beyond cancer, and then jump right into describing what it looks like to do this technique. Much has changed and much has stayed the same since I wrote this book back in 2016. I'll be reading from it and commenting as I go along so you get my current ideas on the topics. Please comment. What are your ideas about this? Let's have a dialogue. Like, subscribe, and hit that bell. And thanks for supporting me so I can support you in taking care of your loved one with cancer. Okay, chapter 2. This won't be a 5-hour video, but let's just keep going. Is this you? So what if your question is, I don't want to give my pet chemo? Maybe you're saying, the vet has offered chemo as something to do, which might make me feel less helpless because it might extend my pet's life, but has not given me hope for a good outcome. And vets do get pressured to do stuff that, because people just feel like they need to do something. Maybe your question is, the chemo and therapy and radiation seem brutal. I know my pet will not live forever, and I care about the quality of their life. Right? Or, I can't afford this chemo or radiation, but I want to do something. Or, I would never treat my own cancer with poison. Why would I give it to my pet? And I'm not saying you shouldn't treat your own cancer with poison. As a good herbalist, I know poisons have their place. But, some people just tend towards the natural route. Quote, my vet told me that cancer is so advanced that the chemo is likely to not work, will be expensive, will make my pet uncomfortable. Between the visits to the vet and the nursing a sick animal, because it's not fun to have that, it's not a good choice. I'm not willing to sit and watch this young animal die without doing anything. I need to find another way. Do any of those statements sound like you? My method doesn't work magically. It doesn't defy natural laws. It's comforting, perhaps life-extending, but not curative for an older animal or one that has had chemo or radiation. Now, since writing this, I've helped people get better with chemo and radiation, and I've helped animals live a lot longer, a lot more comfortably that have had full chemo radiation. So this is like an update. If the animal is currently receiving chemo, it may stop the chemo from working, and the chemo may stop my method from working. I don't recommend doing them at the same time. And again, this is what Bill Bengston trained me with a long time ago, and I think his thinking has evolved, as has mine. And one of the last things that I remember, I don't know if he remembers it, but I remember it, is he says, Suzanne, there's so many instances of spontaneous remissions from cancer of people with full chemo and radiation. It's not an absolute. It's not like a linear thing. It's not an absolute. So go figure out, just because he hadn't succeeded with it doesn't mean others couldn't. And like I said, one of my most dramatic cures was in 2 treatments with a woman who had had full chemo with 4-stage cancer. So, what was that about? So it's worth a try, I think. This whole chemo issue is important, so I'll put some emphasis on it. It's not that I hate veterinarians or Western medicine. I don't. It's not that I'm opposed to chemo or radiation for cancer. There's a time and place for everything.
It's not that I haven't tried to help people and animals who have had chemo and radiation. I have. It's because the tumors in an animal that have had deep poisons don't respond as well. A hot tumor in a young animal will dramatically cool down during a healing session. If they've had chemo, their tumor doesn't cool down, or it's a wimpy cool down, not a robust, cool breeze. In Chapter 6, I'll explain how to tell if it's working. Unfortunately, older animals and animals that have had chemo or radiation therapy often don't respond much. Their tumors energetically feel like a dead battery. So this is still true in general. Like if you take 100 animals that have had chemo versus 100 that haven't, the 100 that haven't will probably have more that respond. But the trick is, do they respond, not have they had chemo or radiation. So that's the little bit of editing that I would do for this paragraph. Spontaneous remissions happen frequently in cancer. They happen in people and perhaps animals who have had full chemo and radiation, so it's not that I don't think it possible. This hope led me to treat many people and animals who have had chemo and radiation. At the time of this writing, I hadn't had a cure this way. It has been worthwhile palliative care. They had less pain, better digestion, and seemed more cheerful, but no cures. I've had some ideas of how to get around this, but it requires a group of people, healers, experienced in the method. This book is my attempt to start training people so that such groups can form. So this is written in 2016. Since then, I have my Spirit Gate Cancer Support Facebook group. I have a lot more experience. Like 99% of people with cancer get chemo. So like I'm not even able to help anybody if I don't take those patients on. And I've learned how to monitor it, how to tell if it's responding. And if it's responding, you want to keep going. If you're not responding, you don't want to waste your time. Okay, but it's not just a question of chemo or radiation. It's a question of, are you responding? Okay. All right, next question. Is this you? Quote, I'm comfortable with natural healing methods, but I have no clue how to help my pet with cancer, unquote. Maybe you know Reiki, acupuncture, healing touch, laying on of hands, faith healing, shamanism, energy psychology, and you have a much-deserved respect for the difficulty in treating cancer. You want to try what you know and learn something new, but you need guidance. If this is you, welcome. The only risk using my method is the risk that you will rely on it and avoid something else that could have worked better. I'll teach you how to know if it's working. I'll help you include your veterinarian and anyone else that will give you a helpful perspective. So just don't be stupid. Like if it's not working, do something else. If it's not working at all, like let it go. If it's working, keep going. It's sort of a no-brainer to me. Like it's not like you're not betraying your ancestors to do this. You're just trying something. Okay, keep it light. Play with it. All right. Next question. Quote, I'm intrigued, but I have my doubts, unquote. You know that all sorts of things are possible with energy medicine, but you wonder if this particular method is for real. You may be skeptical about it helping you. That's okay. I'm going to go through the method and help you work through your questions and concerns. I had all of these concerns myself, so like I said before, I'm just one step ahead of you. I didn't know if I could do it. I didn't know if I had the time. I thought that Bengston had a magic touch. I didn't know how to really tell if I was being effective or not. I didn't know how frequently to treat. I didn't know where to touch or how hard to press. I didn't know how to get my ego out of the way and do nothing while I was doing something. I didn't know what to do if the animal wasn't interested. I didn't know how to explain my family why it was suddenly so important for me to do this. If you have your doubts and are willing to keep an open mind, welcome. Yeah. Okay. I think that speaks for itself. Is this you? Quote, I don't believe you. This is ridiculous, unquote. You may be feeling vulnerable and sense you are being given false hope. You may not even know what energy medicine is. You're just looking into this because you don't want your young pet to die. She's your best friend, and you'd do anything for her. You are stressed out with your pet's condition, and you have your doubts about taking on a whole different way of looking at the cancer. You may worry that I may be a very well-meaning but a deluded person. You don't trust science, so Bengston's research results don't motivate you to investigate. If this is you, please don't waste your time. This approach is not for everyone. This book will not teach you the fundamentals of energy medicine. You'll have to go elsewhere for that. This book is mostly for people who are already looking for something like this, who are familiar with healing without drugs or surgery, and who want some guidance. There are many other ways to help your pet. Follow your heart and your gut and your clear thinking and find what works for you, or what fits you. My students usually feel a deep sense of connection, of destiny, of being guided by coincidences to this work. When they work with me, they feel like they are coming home to a part of themselves they've always wanted to develop. It feels important to them to work this way with their pet. And actually, that's as much of a predictor to success I've found as frequency and duration and all the other things. Is like, is there this inner connection and curiosity? And it's almost like, I have to do this. It floats your boat. It makes you, it livens you up. It's a very living, creative connection. I've thought a lot about that, and I can help people elicit it. Okay. My students know that they are working against the odds. They feel drawn to this work, it makes sense, and they want to give it a try. If you have a relatively young animal with cancer who has never had chemo or radiation therapy, I think you should give it a try. I will teach you things to notice that reassure you if you are on the right track and help you know if nothing is happening. And the young animal thing is that Bengston did some research where he cured the mice, and then he re-injected the cancer, and they couldn't even get cancer after that. So it sort of seemed to be like a lifelong cure. And then they still died at the end of their normal lifespan. And he couldn't get them to live longer than that. So which gives me, because of my knowledge of physiology and biochemistry, it gives me some ideas of the mechanism of how this energy therapy works. It doesn't cure death, it just helps cancer. Also helps a lot of other things, by the way, but we're talking cancer here. All right, 2 more paragraphs. This book is a summary of the major points in the method. To really do the technique, most people need some sort of coaching. I can coach you online privately or with a group. I love computer video coaching. I can see you and your pet, but your pet is not disturbed by my physical presence. I don't treat animals. I am not a vet. I only educate pet owners how to treat their pets themselves. So I'm your coach. You're doing the hands-on healing. I do a distance healing thing, but I don't think that's ever going to be confused with veterinary medicine. So I think we're good for that. Please do not confuse my enthusiasm for hype. It's poignantly real to me that this method is experimental. I've treated people and animals that died in spite of my best efforts. I've learned from each of them. I wanted to spare you some of my learning curve. I don't regret working with them. I think it was an important chapter in both of our lives. That being said, I offer you a systematic method of energy healing that you can use on your pet and likely succeed, even as a beginner. All right, so that's the end of chapter 2 and chapter 3. My vision. The foundational part of the method is the use of powerful, positive images. The method is not just positive imaging, but it is a crucial piece. When you become my student, I want you to succeed. I want us to succeed. I have a picture in my mind of what I hope for with us. It may or may not happen, but I'm clear that I want it. And this is my vision may change as I get to know you and as I train more students. But for now, this is what I imagine. Before I tell you what I wrote in the book, when I work with people privately, I actually discuss, okay, my vision for your healing, or your dog's healing, or your horse's healing, is this. Is it okay if I visualize it this way? And they go, oh yes, thank you. And we talk about it a little bit. And then throughout the day, I'm doing my spinning meditation, and I'm able to, which has these images in it that are there or not. So like I'm spinning right now while I'm reading this book and talking to the camera and talking to you in the future. All right, so there we go. But it's not just about positive thinking and visualization, but that's a piece of it. Okay. So in the book, I write, my vision for you. It is 6 months from now, and your pet is cancer-free. They are healthy and strong. So this is my imagination of what I would love to see happen. It doesn't mean, it's not a promise, it's like a goal or a wish. Okay, they are healthy and strong. There's a twinkle in their eyes, a lilt in their gait. They are not weakened, but rather strengthened from their bout with cancer. You and your family aren't worried about your pet's health. You're spending your time doing all sorts of things unrelated to their condition because there is no condition. You have a document framed on the wall. It's a letter from your veterinarian certifying that your pet had cancer and is now cancer-free, which incidentally you send to me, okay? You send me a copy of that picture. Give me a picture of that. Okay. Perhaps someone who knows about your pet, was cured, needs help with their pet. You can offer it or not, but your cancer terror is now cancer concern, and you're free to act out of love. You've changed too. You feel more like yourself than you used to. It's as if the whole cancer episode allowed something inside you to finish or complete. You feel a little more present to your life. You now embody a certain wisdom and ability to trust in the process of life that is deeper than before. My vision for us. It's a year from now. While you were learning to help your animal, we got to know each other. Maybe you joined my group video coaching, and you also know others who were also learning to help their animals. You sent me a letter from your vet certifying the cancer remission. Your pet's photo is on the healing tree. This is an artist's drawing of a tree with a lot of circles all over it. The circles have different colors, gold, silver, copper, etc. Inside the circles with the gold frames are the photos of the people with their pets that have been cured. Not everyone who is attracted to this method is going to have a young, chemo-free animal. I want your story and photo too. If you feel this method helped your beloved pet with their condition, let's celebrate that success as well. Once we have 100 of photos on this tree, I envision the 100th monkey effect happening. And suddenly the whole paradigm around cancer care collapses, implodes on itself, similar to how a tumor acts when it heals. Fast forward a few decades. A youngster looks incredulously at you when you tell them how cancer used to be treated. You smile and know if you and your beloved animal companion were part of this transformation. Feels good. Right, so that was my vision in 2016. Since then, I've kind of revised it. I now have not just this poster on the wall with circles. I had a fabric artist create a tree. She quilted a tree, an image of a tree, and then I have a bunch of leaves that every time I get a cure, I put it on this tree, right? So my goal is to get 100 cancer cures. And can I do it? I don't know, but I don't think I can do it just by treating people or animals. I think what my path is to empower other people how to learn how to do it themselves. Okay, because it's just so creative as you're starting to learn it, and that's part of what I want to offer the world, not the cancer cures. That's like the trophy, but the self-development that goes into having this happen in your life. That floats my boat. That's what I want. Okay, good. All right, next chapter. Chapter 4. What is this method? It's an observation-based method, not a faith-based method. You touch your pet with your hands while activating certain thoughts and being very aware of subtle emotional and physical shifts. It's an energy medicine approach that honors the resonance between the physical, life force, emotions, imagination, and spiritual aspects of the animal and their person. And later, I just want to say, because people get turned off by it's not a faith, but either love that or you hate that. So if you love that, good. If you hate that because you're a faith-based person, we're going to get to the faith-based part in a little while and teach you where that fits with all this. Okay, so hang on. All right, on the physical level, what is the method? You are comfortably touching your animal friend with your hands. I take the idea of laying on of hands very literally. Your hands are gently touching your pet. Your cat or small dog can be on your lap. If you have a hamster or a bird that's in a cage, you simply hold the cage with your hands. You can do the technique while you're grooming your horse. On the life force level, you're noticing the chi, or the sense of vitality, warmth, coolness, activity, or quiescence, non-activity in your pet. You will also want to notice your own life force. Make sure that your hara, deep inside your lower abdomen just below your navel, and your heart are just as present with the process as your head and your hands. You want to be contained in your own body and in your own life force. You are in no way trying to transfer life force from your body to your pet. If you get the book, or just rewind this, like, that is where this is so different than most other techniques. Most other techniques have you like tapping into some universal source, having it coming into your head, into your heart, out your arms, into your hands, and then you lay that energy onto your patient and you heal them. And that's not what we're doing here. Okay, so I'm not saying that that's wrong. I'm just saying that when I did it that way, and acupuncture is a little bit like that. I gather the chi, I channel it through. Whole room would fill up with light, love, and peace. People would just be Google eyes about how radiant they felt and how beautiful I looked, when this was happening. And that did not cure cancer. Not once did it work. And it was full of spiritual bells and whistles, or psychic bells and whistles. And so I know what chi feels like. I know what this sense of wonder and presence feels like. And it is the effect of the healing. It's not the cause of it. So we don't generate this charismatic chi in order to heal. It comes in the other way. It's an effect of the healing. It's not the cause of the healing. And that's a big difference in my method and most other energy healing methods. Okay? All right. Back at the ranch here. On the emotional level. Okay, so this is all part of the back. Okay, this is like I'm trying to describe what this method looks like and what you're doing while you're giving a session. On the emotional level, you're noticing your own feelings, your pet's feelings. You'll want to connect lovingly with your pet, not the sentimental, oozy, energy-sucking love, rather a grounded, open heart willing to be helpful in their healing process. During the treatment, you and your pet may have a variety of emotions arise. These are important, and you should be experienced, and should be experienced with interest. So when people, it's sort of like you're just with them. You're not doing anything. So like say some terrible accident happened, and like your child was in a car crash, and there they are all mangled on the road or something. And somebody calls 911, and the ambulance is on the way. You're just holding them, because you might do some first aid and stuff like that, but it's really just, I'm here with you. I'm here with you. I'm here with you. And in your heart, you hope that the help that's on the way is going to be able to help. But right now, you've done everything you know how to do, and your job is just to be present there with your child. And that presence, that loving presence, is very powerful. It's very powerful. And this, like, I don't know how to cure cancer. Do you? Like, why would you pretend that light shining through your hands is going to help them heal? Like, there's a detached love of, I'm here for you and I love you. And you don't leave them alone and all that. And you can do that with your pet just as well as you can with sorry for that graphic example. I just wanted to emphasize that, well, for one thing, cancer is a life and death thing. And that's just an image of how to connect when you want to do something to fix them, but you don't know how. You just want to be there with them. Okay. On the level of, okay, next paragraph. On the imagination level, you'll be focusing on two things at once. The first is doing the Clegg resonance cycling technique, which I teach in my classes. If you'd like to learn more about this and get a free copy of the basics, just send me an email. Okay, so right now, I've renamed this. In 7 years, this has gone through so many levels. At this time of this recording, I'm just referring people to the Bengston Method to learn the rapid image cycling technique. And then if you come to my coaching, I show you how to be playful with it. That's one of his big things, is to be playful. I show you how to be innovative. Because the biggest problem is everybody wants to do it right, and then they stop it from happening. And so I help you find your voice in that method. Okay, and you could say that all my playful ways are my Clegg resonance thing. And now, instead of the PDF that I used to send people, I just refer them to a YouTube video. I think it's called Octave Resonance Spinning. And it's a very, very, very simplified version of Bengston's method. It's a combination of my knowledge of because I'm a sound healer, and the greatest frequency is really just your own. And so how to tune that with spinning. Anyway, I teach that. It's like a 7-minute video, so you just get started, which was one of the obstacles, is people made it too hard and complicated and gave up, because it's kind of stressful to have somebody with cancer in your life and you don't have time to go get a college degree. You just need something now. So I did that video so you get started now. All right. The first is doing this image cycling technique. The second is you want to imagine that you can see inside your pet's body. Most people will not succeed at actually being able to see what is there, but the very act of pretending that you can see is actually therapeutic. The inner gesture of connecting to the insides of your pet with your imagination creates a special connection that I find helps beginners succeed at cooling down their pet's tumors, if the tumors are hot. Your imagination and emotions link you to the spiritual dimensions that contain the information your pet needs to heal. I've been working energetically with people for so many years that my ability to perceive emotions stored in the body comes to me in the form of images. I'm able to tune in to your pet and notice if they are receiving the information they need for healing. I can do this in person, over the phone, or Skype. I teach my students how to adjust their hand position so that their pet receives the healing. This skill helps me teach and treat, but my students do not need to do this. It's about their animal's process, and there's plenty of non-intuitive clues that will let you know if you're on the right track. Okay, but just pretending that you're psychic actually connects you. And we do this in relationships, right? Like your partner says something, and you just have to like that's in left field. I don't get that. Rather than judging and criticizing, you just get curious and like, okay, let me see if sometimes you're like a little dog saying, huh? Like, how did they get that out of that? And then you just pretend like you can see, and then suddenly you're empathizing and you're able to see things from their perspective. So that's just an example. Like animals, communicating with animals is not very hard if you know what to do. And this is just a little baby beginner step of doing that. All right. On the spiritual level, what are you doing spiritually while you're doing these treatments? And my definition of, I don't know if I say this. All right, maybe I'll read it on and I'll find out. Okay. The actual healing comes from a supraconscious place, quote unquote place, that you are unconscious of. Thoughts and images may come from this place, but they are not the source of the information. I call that supraconscious, non-physical place, I'd call it dimension source. I like to consider that my pet has a spiritual dimension. I think of the individuality of my pet as well as their species. For example, if I'm healing my dog Annie, I'm aware of my love and delight in her. I'm aware of her beautiful fur and her loving eyes. I'm aware of her unique individuality. Then I go through all that and touch with my consciousness her dogness. If I was working on a cat, I would connect with her through her individuality to the way she is the same as any other cat. I do not do this when I work with people, as we are naturally more separate from each other than animals are with their species. With people, I connect to their higher self. So I go through their biography, through their history, through their ancestry, through whatever little system they have spiritually. You know, some people believe in past lives, some people just go really into the ancestry thing for their past. It's like through all that into something that's some aspect of their being that appears to be guiding and supervising it through all that. Some people like work with guardian angels. Like I kind of, again, I fit it to being your spirit gate, not my spirit gate. So whatever language you use to access that place that we all know and experience, but we give different labels to it. All right. So cats and dogs, all cats, like lions, tigers, pussycats, domestic cats, to me they have a group consciousness that's more cohesive than human groups. Like way more. It's almost like the tiger and the domestic animal is almost like the finger and the liver of a person. You know, they look very different, but they're all part of this person, this group that is the person. With the cats, it feels like they're just in this group soul. And I find I get a lot of mileage if I connect with them in that way. And then a cat has a very, very different interface into this three-dimensional reality than humans do, and very different than dogs do. So when I work privately with people, I train you how to reach into their species consciousness and honor it. And it's not like doing a technique at them. It's not, we don't just rapid image cycle and touch them. We connect to their whole person, but with animals, I connect to their whole species. Okay, so that's a trick that I didn't write about. All right. Not all, okay, so back at the ranch here, sorry. I hope this is helpful, or maybe it's just confusing to have all these digressions. You can let me know. Not all thinking is the same. Ego-centered thinking, which is most of our thinking, does not create the healing. It gets in the way. Usually any thought that assumes you are doing the healing, that the healing is coming through you, that you have to inwardly align with a positive outcome, will get in the way, which is the opposite of positive thinking, okay? My Clegg resonance cycling technique is a wonderful decoy for your ego. If you are a beginner, it really is quite effective at getting your ego out of the way. I developed this technique using my own spiritual research of William Bengston's image cycling technique. You can learn from both approaches. The differences are in how I teach it, how fast people are able to begin healing effectively, ways I play with it, and the various philosophic containers I put the technique in. But whether you're learning from me or Bengston, it's still a bunch of images of things that you want whirling around at the speed of light or faster, which I don't discuss in this book. All right. Soon, with a little practice, you'll become comfortable with the cycling technique and will be able to do it while you talk, walk, think, and do other things. So I'm cycling while I'm reading this. At that point, it will be a less effective decoy for your ego. You will continue to do the technique, but need something else to do with your mind. You will want to use your mind in the receiving and observing mode, not in the making something happen mode. All right? So you're touching your animal, you're cycling, and you're watching, and you're trying to receive. You're trying to like cooperate with something that's not you. You don't want to do it, okay? Because I promise you don't know how to do it, not consciously. because it's not a conscious process. All right. Okay, I'll reread that sentence. You'll want to use your mind in the receiving and observing mode, not the making something happen mode. While you do the cycling technique in the back of your mind, you will use the front of your mind to simply and carefully reserve how your pet is responding to the information that she is receiving from Source. Now, we're all receiving information from Source all the time. The language I use is the grace of the divine penetrates all of creation. And so when you touch someone, you're not infusing them with source energy. The source energy is already there. You're changing their energetic boundaries so that the healing that's their birthright, that is their true nature, can wake up and go, oh, I can do it this way. It's not conscious. So the way I teach this now is I say, just imagine or have someone touch you anywhere on your body. And you'll notice that you feel very different in your whole being. So you can just touch the pet almost anywhere. I actually, as an acupuncturist, I like to refine it and touch in certain places, but really 80% of the effectiveness, you can just touch the animal anywhere or the person. Just put your friggin' hands on them and cycle. And then you watch how they are responding to their creator. And your touch will help them. And so you'll want to touch in different places so that it'll sort of slow down. And then you want to change where you're touching. Okay. And I have a whole video on that, a training on how to give a treatment, which should be linked below this video. Okay. It's a $47. Go to spiritgate.com. It's in the shop tab. At least it is now. Okay. You will use your thinking to notice if it is time to change your hand position, to cycle at different speed, or to do nothing or do something else. When you are observing something without directing it, you are present but detached, and that's what you want. This may seem confusing, but it becomes simple and doable with the online video coaching, promise. And again, I have this really affordable class that you can just do it from, and then ask questions in the Facebook group for free. During the video coaching, you'll be physically touching your pet. I'll be touching your pet with my intention. Oh, this is during the live class. But I guess I was touching your pet when I filmed that. Yeah. I will be touching your pet with my intention while doing a distance healing and talking to you. I can cool down tumors remotely, but it works much better if there are some human hands on the animal. And this is just my experience. People have different ways of doing it. I'm an acupuncturist, so I just know how to heal with my hands. They know how to help me. Physical comfort and physical changes are closely observed as they help us adjust the non-physical things we do. The method is not just about enhancing the life force. It's about getting a sense of flow. Oh, it's not about getting a sense of flow nor a magnetic feeling. It's not even about the cooling down of a tumor. These things happen as a result of the healing, but are not the healing. That's so important. You don't praise the messenger, okay? I mean, you can, but you can be very grateful for the messenger, but it's the message they carry. So if the message is the healing, the messenger is the cooling down of the tumor. It's the sense of peace that fills the room. It's the not needing as much pain meds. It's the being able to sleep through the night. It's having your stools firm up or loosen up, depending on what they need to have happen. It's, clearly not needing as many pain meds. Like, those are the messengers that say that something more fundamental has happened. And we can celebrate them. We definitely want to enjoy them, but you're not trying to get them. It's like it's backwards. You don't try to do all those things to make the healing happen. They're the result of the healing. And it's a two-way thing. So, of course, you do good things, good mental hygiene, good physical hygiene, good nursing care, good all those things, because they do, I think, help one receive the healing that comes from beyond all that doing. Okay, back to the book. If you want to increase the power of the healing, it is tempting to combine it with acupuncture, sound healing, and other healing methods. If nothing is happening, I may use other energy methods to get things started, but then less really is more. And I have lots of tips on like if it seems to be like dead battery, we have lots of things to try. But I didn't write about that in the book. My method is so subtle that as soon as I start directing the energy in any way, I actually interfere with the innate wisdom. I observed this in a cancer more than in other conditions. The best way I have found to amplify healing is to work as a team with 2 or more people treating the animal at once. For example, if your hands are on your pet and I am connecting remotely on the phone or Skype, it helps boost things a lot. Together, we're usually better than either one of us alone. Emotional healing is always part of any physical healing. It can be quite dramatic with cancer. Animals have their own emotional issues, and they can take on and hold in their bodies the toxic emotions of the people they care about. My method addresses or clears emotional interference differently than psychotherapy and spiritual counseling, which don't really apply to animals. In my coaching, I help people know how it feels to have an emotion leaving the tissue. So if the emotional issue is in the tissue, there's certain things to know if it's leaving. And I help you do that with my resonance cycling technique. And then, one of the reasons I think it is so much easier to treat animals than people is that they are attached to their emotions very differently than we are. And it's easier for them to let go of emotional negativity. Many types of healing medicine, prayer, and laying on of hands include religion. They create a very beautiful spiritual container for their work. My method is different. I respect religion and I love philosophy, but they are mental containers for consciousness. The place that healing comes from cannot be contained in a box. It's not like a box thing. It's different than that. I'm not saying we shouldn't have religions or that we shouldn't have. I'm not saying that we shouldn't devise systems to explain the non-physical. I certainly have a lot. I'm saying that the healing comes from a dimension that is beyond all that. You don't align yourself with the correct religion philosophic perspective to get a cure. It happens the other way around. As a result of curing your cat from cancer, your religious philosophic box will get bigger and truer. You will have a perspective that you didn't have before. You cannot shift something in you to force grace, but when grace is received, everything shifts. That's why I love this work, because those shifts are just, I feel like the universe shifts, these little teeny tiny things, like I just feel the ripple. So as that mouse heals, something else changes. It's just, I love it. Okay. This method is about honoring the wholeness of something so it really can be used to treat anything. While I'm writing this chapter, I took a break and used the method on a tree in my yard. The tree had a huge branch pruned from it earlier in the day. I sensed it could use some healing. I don't think the tree has cancer, but I did feel an energetic shift, similar to a tumor cooling down. I sensed information entering the tree that will be helpful. It felt like a block of information emerging, as if it was already there, but the tree wasn't connecting to it. I got a subtle sense of relief and happiness as something reintegrated. So not only can you help other conditions, you can help other situations. You can cure your business, you can cure your tree, you can cure your anything in form you can bring healing to. This book is about helping animals with cancer because it is easy for me to coach people remotely over the phone or video how to manage a naturally healing tumor. I'm not so sure what to expect from the tree or from a business that needs healing. So the tumors, they just cool down. It's just so easy to give any muggle the feedback they need to know that they've just done something. Like that thing I did with the tree, it was a little subtle. Like not everybody can feel what I felt. But the tumor cooling down, I swear to God, it's not subtle. It's not subtle at all. You can do it. What about treating an animal with a non-cancerous health problem? I would say go for it, give it a try, but each condition will have its own way of healing, so you may need more medical knowledge than most people have. It's paradoxical that cancer, which physical medicine finds so hard to treat, is so easy to teach a layperson how to help. I have a lot of ideas why cancer may be easier than back pain, which I take up in my coaching program. My group coaching will be restricted to mammals that can have a camera aimed at them during the class so everyone else can see what is happening. That means mostly dogs, cats, and rodents in cages. Well, dogs and cats not in cages and rodents in cages. I've had some experience working with horses, and I'm itching to help a horse person help their friend. I'm sure birds and snakes would respond, but I've not worked with many, and I don't know what to tell you to look for in how their tumors heal, so you'd have to explore that individually. When I say that the method works, I don't mean that it will always cure. If your pet is old, has had chemo, or doesn't have a rapidly growing tumor, you might not get a dramatic response. In Chapter 6, you'll learn how to tell if you're on the right track. Can you do this? What preparation do you need? If you're attracted to this work, you can probably do it. It helps to be sensitive, but that's just a perk. All you really need is interest and the willingness to practice. The only preparation is to get an overview, which you're doing by reading this book, and start. Just like learning anything else, be prepared for some beginner's luck, a stuck place that you have to work through, and then a release into confidence. If you need help, don't hesitate to contact me at info@spiritgate.com. That was Chapter 4. All right, thanks for listening. This is There Is Another Way, Energy Medicine for Pets with Cancer by Suzanne Clegg. All right, see you on the next video.